So, Michelle Visage, thanks for taking the time to talk to John Benutty and I. I'm Paul Sheehan at American Gold Derby. We're huge fans of Drag Race. John does a live blog every week, and we're just so thrilled to finally get a chance to talk to you. What I'd like to start with is just where you started with Drag Race, how you came into it, and how you've seen it evolve over the years.
Sure. I came into it on season 3. The show was conceived with me, meant to be there season 1, but I spent 17 years hosting morning radio, and I was a year and a half into a 5-year deal when season 1 was offered to me, and I brought it to my boss, asked for the time off, and unfortunately in radio, unless your name starts with Howard and ends with Stern, you don't get more than 1 week off at a time. And they said no to me. They wouldn't allow me to do it. So I had to turn it down, only to find out later on that that boss didn't want me to do it because he thought it was a bad idea, a bad look for the radio station. So I didn't realize that he was homophobic until after the fact. And then I kind of went kicking and screaming all the way. So when season 3 was offered to me, same boss was in there. He said no again. So I then asked my friend Leah Remini what I should do. And she kind of became a mom and said, well, listen, she was on CBS on King of Queens at the time. And she said, I'm going to call the head of CBS radio and I'm going to tell them. And I said, no, calm down. You're not going to call anybody. I'm asking you for advice. What should I do? And she said, you need to call the president of the company. So I did. And they said, absolutely, you can go do it. Absolutely. And that boss was subsequently fired. And I've stepped away from morning radio, but continued to do Drag Race starting from season 3.
Oh my God. We're so happy you did.
Thanks.
I guess along those lines, then how are you involved in casting? Are you at all? And then on top of that, maybe what kind of girls do you guys look for when you're casting Drag Race?
I have literally zero to do with casting. That is done by the professionals.
Yeah.
What I do, however, because I travel and perform all over the world by myself and with the girls, we tour and that stuff, I get to see as much local talent as I can. And if I see somebody who I think is ready or has something or worthy, I then tell the execs at World of Wonder. I was the one who brought Bianca Del Rio to the party.
Oh, wow.
When I see somebody special, I'll bring it to them. It's not often. And I know that when it's right, it's right. I also recommended Darian Lake and maybe a few others, very select few, but I have zero to do with casting. That's all them.
Yeah. So then what do you look for personally when you're kind of scouting, I guess, is what you're doing?
I think for me, I mean, scouting is not my job. I just do it as a lover of drag and as a, an employee of RuPaul's Drag Race and a fan of the show. For me, what I look for, because I've been around drag since I'm 17 years old, I know what I'm looking for at this point. I know polished drag versus unpolished drag. That doesn't mean good versus bad. It means there's a certain criteria to get on this TV show, because you won't be able to hang with the likes of the other ones if you're not ready. So I look for the level of performance. I look for the finish on the costume, the hair, the makeup, how it all goes together, the attitude, the performance level. There's all of that plays into me going, oh, okay. This is not only worthy, but necessary and different. I look for things that are outside of the box as well. Something maybe that hasn't been represented yet.
Yeah.
So those are the things that excite me.
Cool. So conversely then, when you meet the girls, do you sort of have a really good sense? You sort of go, okay, those 3, yeah, I'm going to see them. They're going to make it through. And those couple, ooh, they might be gone in the first week or 2. I mean,
you mean like when I first see the queens when they come out on the main stage on episode 1? Yeah, sometimes I look at them, I scan them, obviously, because I'm sitting there staring at them and I look them in the eye. I can see who can handle a stare from me in the eye. And I look them from top to bottom and I automatically go, okay, this is what I think. That one's going to go all the way. That one is going to be gone early. This one, don't know where they'll fall. By nature, we do that. We're all judges by nature. You get one chance for a first impression, and that at that moment is what they're getting. And I don't meet them. I don't know anything about them. I don't know their storyline. I don't know what they're doing in the workroom. I don't know if they're nice, if they're not nice. All I know is what I'm seeing about their drag. And it's kind of obvious, but that doesn't mean they won't last a little bit, you know, if they look a bit rough. It just means they're not going to be as polished and probably make it all the way. But you never know. Think about season 5. Jinx Monsoon was really rough in the beginning. And I kind of pushed her and like, I just needled her until it worked. And she ended up winning. So sometimes that judgment call is wrong, but usually I'm usually right.
Yeah. I mean, while we're talking about first episodes and first impressions, I have to ask about Miss Vanjie, because when we watched the episode as fans, the Miss Vanjie thing just took off on social media immediately.
Yes.
I hear people on the streets, but then now to see it, you guys are bringing it up every episode, you and Ru and the girls themselves. So did you guys know that that was a moment?
No, can I explain why I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Ru and I have been friends since 1917. And I know how to get Ru. Like, we're best friends. You know, like when you're looking at your best friend and you can just look and you know that look that's going to make your best friend crack up.
Yeah.
I knew when she did that, when she was leaving, it could have just gone away and nobody would have said anything. But I knew, because the people don't understand Ru, how funny Ru is. If you listen to the podcast, you know, Ru is really funny. And his sarcasm was the thing that walked me down that lane, because I knew that would get to him if I reenacted it. But because it was so weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then the first thing Ru said was, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. Sarcasm, because she said it 3 times. So of course, then I went in full throttle with the interpretation, my interpretation.
Yeah.
So I knew that no matter what, it was going to get under his skin. And every time I needed to make him laugh, let's say it was a lull or, you know, whatever the situation was, I'm going to use that opportunity to make my best friend laugh. Yeah. Nothing makes me happier. It's like gay boys get their wings every time RuPaul laughs. So, you know, anytime I saw an opening, I was just going to do it. So that's why it kind of kept on throughout the season. It just is a funny little thing.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see that you kind of knew that that was going to get Ru, and then to see everyone in the fan base just go crazy for it. I mean, it's made her insanely popular.
And I think it was a treat for them to see our relationship as well. You know, they know how close we are, obviously, but to see that we kind of take the piss off out of each other and we make each other laugh, like, for lack of a better term, normal people do. Like, we're just sitting there, just like you're sitting there with your best friend, you know, at a table, at a bar, at dinner, whatever. We do the same stupid shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking to you just a couple of weeks before Emmy voting starts, and there's 2 different kind of versions of the Drag Race in consideration this year. There's an All-Stars and then the regular. Do you look forward to the All-Stars, to seeing some of them coming back, or which is your preference, or do you like them both equally?
I like them both equally. I love seeing the new queens very much, because there's a lot of them that I've never heard of. There's a lot of them that I've never seen, never worked with, never even been on my radar. You know, usually you can look through Facebook and you scour social media, and there's ones that you know before, and it's inevitable because they all come to like the shows that I do or the tour. But then there's tons that I haven't met, and it warms my heart to see all these new, young, up-and-coming drag queens getting their chance at a shot at fame and money and notoriety and et al. So that makes me very happy. But the All-Stars is a moment of motherly pride, because they've been out there and they've been honing their craft, and they've been now, you know, in front of millions of people wherever they are, whatever the medium is, to be in front of these people. And I see how they've grown, how they changed, how they've polished, and how they've become real, true professionals. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah. I guess I was wondering, because you've been in the drag community for, I mean, years, and you've seen it grow and change. and I mean, articles are being written in the New York Times now about how Drag Race has changed the drag community. Maybe if you could talk a little about the change that you've seen recently because of Drag Race, and then maybe where you think the next stage of drag is going.
Do you mean specifically in drag or in the world? Because Drag Race has changed the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, it has. I mean, so in the world, really.
Well, you know, drag has been around hundreds of years, if not thousands, before Drag Race, and drag will be around hundreds, if not thousands of years after Drag Race. So let's be realistic. Drag has been a queer art form from the beginning, and will always be that. And I think how it's changed the world is people that have never felt that they kind of fit in. I was always a square peg trying to be put in a round hole. I never fit in. I never saw somebody and said, oh, that's my tribe. Those are my people. Like my people in my head growing up were the Go-Go's. Like I didn't have anything realistic or tangible that I can get with. Nobody understood me. I had a blue mohawk when I was 13. I lived in central New Jersey. That just wasn't the thing to do. But my mother nurtured that, and I was lucky enough to have that. So I had eating disorders and body image issues, and it was mostly because I didn't have a place where I felt that I belonged. And the beauty of RuPaul's Drag Race is all these queer and non-queer like people who don't fit in the social, the heteronormative social, whatever the word would be, I don't know, cutout.
Yeah.
Heteronormative cutout in life, or what we're expected to do, or what's acceptable. Maybe I wouldn't have had those issues if I had something like RuPaul's Drag Race, where I can say, oh my God, they're just like me. She's like me. That queen's like me. So what I'm seeing as a change of the world is more acceptance and love for this art form. It was never, when I grew up in New York City, the art of drag was never considered artistry. It was like in the margins. It was in the outskirts of the gay community. I hung out with trans kids who weren't called trans back then. They were all called gay. And we hung out in the Christopher Street piers. It's the Paris is Burning time. And I grew up in the ballroom culture. And for me, it was just a family. That's all it ever was. I was one of very few Caucasian people in a world of people of color, and they loved me no matter. Nobody ever said to me, you're white, you don't belong. And it was a sense of love. It was a sense of family. And that's what RuPaul's Drag Race is. And I think that's what's changing the world, is people from all walks of society are now feeling that they have a place where unequivocally they belong.
Yeah. And so it must then be so gratifying then when you see it would be a relatively conservative group like the TV Academy embracing the show. I mean, you couldn't have imagined when you and Leah fought to get on, in season 3, that this would be this major player at the Emmy Awards. I mean, that must just be so rewarding into itself that it's part of the conversation in a very sort of run-of-the-mill kind of way now.
Not only that, we can go back before that and say how long it took to get RuPaul's Drag Race on the air. Like, it had been a concept long before it was bought. So it took a long time to get it on the air. And the fact that it got on the air and that we're, going to start filming season 11 soon is like, somebody pinched me, honestly. And this is not a pageant. This is not a dream. It's like most shows at most, if they're lucky, get 3-4 seasons. And, it kind of goes like this and then comes crashing down. The fact that we've been the little train that could, and season 10 had the highest ratings ever, is unheard of. And we need to relish in that. We need to just love that up. And the fact that, I was on my anniversary last year with my husband and my children. Yes, we take our kids with us for our anniversary, but we were in Maui and I woke up to the amount of nominations that we had from the Emmys, and it was like, is this actually real? Like, our little queer television show is being recognized by the masses, and so many power players and celebrities and important people in the world of showbiz love it and watch it and swear by it, and it's their Bible, and it's becoming more and more of a necessity for TV people rather than it is a joy, So it's quite an honor to be recognized by the Academy. It's really a dream.
How long is your guys' list of celebrities that want to guest judge at this point?
It's massive, but my wish list is one, and that's Madonna. So
yes, please.
so when that happens, they could do anything else they want after that, you know. But the list is pretty long of the people who want to do it, and our wish list. You know, every year we go. You know, obviously we got Lady Gaga, but the list is always Dolly, Cher, Liza, Madonna. You know, the list goes on. Reba. It's the obvious ones. Celine. So they go out to them every year. The issue is everybody wants to do it. Everybody tours. Everybody work. You know, it's hard to get everybody at the same place at the same time. It's so difficult when you deal with superstars. They're just, how dare they be at work?
We interview lots of people here at Gold Derby. And I gotta say, I was sort of intimidated to interview you because that's something that you do. The interview, which is just every week watching you interview the queen that's been eliminated. It's just the warmth that you bring to that, and then the connection that you make with each one of them. But so I was curious. So what would you ask you, right? Like what do people not ask you about Drag Race that you always wish that they had?
Well, it's really interesting. Oh my God, that's so meta. I never thought about interviewing myself. I guess, you know, as a kid, I studied acting and I studied the Meisner technique, and the Meisner technique always takes everything off of you. So you don't have the pressure and you can just have the ability to be you. So I think when I interview people, that I want to talk about them and put it on them because they're not only the subject, but they are what interests me. You know, it takes the pressure off of me. So if I were to ask me anything, I feel like I've been asked everything there is to ask about me, I guess. I mean, I don't know what I would ask me. I would ask me why I'm so tough on them. And my answer would be because I love them. And I was raised in a Brooklyn household in central New Jersey. My mother was born and raised in Brooklyn. And she never pussyfooted. She always told me like it was. She never sugarcoated anything, which is why when I said to her I wanted to be an actress and moved to New York City for college, she was like, okay. And they supported it all the way. Like most mothers would be like, girl, you want to be an actress? No, you're going to get, you know. She made me get a degree in musical theater. So I had a degree, which I can do nothing with. But she was always just there for me and solid. So I feel like that's how I parent my own daughters. And these are my children on that main stage. So I'm going to parent them the same way. Ideally you have lots of time as long as the show's on to make money. But realistically, you get a good year. That's a chunk of time from when the show starts airing to the next crop of girls to really make your money count, to try to make an impact on, you know, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a performer, let's use Jinx again. You know, she wrote her vaudevillians and it was rave reviews off Broadway. That's huge. And then she'd made some appearances on TV shows. Shangela the same. So that's your time to show casting directors. You're more than just what we see. If I keep letting you do the one thing that you know you do best, it's going to get predictable and casting people are going to go, we don't need that. But I wonder if she can do X, Y, Z. So I want to push them to be the best that they can be, surprise themselves that they went, oh my God, I never thought that I can do that. I'm so proud of myself. Like Roxy Andrews has come, you know, she never thought. She was a pageant girl. And the fact that we pushed her to do comedy and she was so funny, despite the little stand-up thing, she was so funny. She never thought that she could do that. That warms my heart when they realize, oh my God, I can do it. And I want them to use that to go take over the world.
Yeah. How, with your toughness, how many of the girls kind of take it too seriously and maybe too harshly from you?
You'd probably have to ask them that, but I've really never had an issue after all these years. The only one that ever had a problem with me was season 3. It was Alexis Mateo. We're friends now and we joke about it because it's a good storyline, but she hated the fact that I critiqued her, and I critiqued her so harshly. But at the end of the day, if you're in this business, I've been acting since I'm 12, 13 years old. And I have you seen me on 18 million sitcoms? No, because the answers are, I get more no's than I get yeses. And I keep working. I take, my acting classes. I keep auditioning because eventually you're going to get to that yes. And Ru always says it's a matter of grit and determination. It's stick-with-itness. If you don't stick with it, you'll never get to that yes. Yeah. So I've never really gotten anybody that said, you were so hard on me. But I had girls like after say, thank you for being so hard on me because I never would have pushed myself. And they almost all say it was the hardest thing they've ever done. And they know that I'm the one who's tough. So they know that I'm the one that they're going to have to really please.
I guess one person that said yes in an indirect way to you was Simon Cowell, because we were just talking before we came on about you being a judge on Ireland's Got Talent this year. And I'm just so curious, how did that come to be?
Well, I have the right people in the right places at the right time, but the real answer to that is Louis Walsh, who is on the X Factor over there. He's a manager of many hit groups like Boyzone and Westlife and Girls Aloud and a whole bunch of groups. He's a very prolific music manager. He came to one of my shows when I was performing in Dublin, and I brought him on stage. I do a little thing where I bring people on stage and make them lip sync. And I brought him on, and he didn't want to go. And I was like, just come up here. I said, I'm going to work with you one day. And we ended up really hitting it off. We went out to dinner that night till 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know Ireland's Got Talent was definitely happening, but I heard some buzz. And I looked at him and I said, I want to do that with you. And he said, done. I would love to work with you. And he had the ability where not everybody does, and the balls, and not everybody does this either. Ru would do this for me, where he went in and said, great, because Ireland needs him. He's the king of Ireland. He is the king of Ireland. Everybody knows Louis Walsh. So he would go in there and he said, listen, guys, I'm yours. I'll do this show, but I'm not doing it without Michelle Visage. And, the straight execs were like, the hell? Who's that? These guys have no idea who I am. The sponsors don't know who I am. So it was a fight, but a fight that Louis was willing to fight. And he pushed that ball uphill. And that's how it happened. And now they are so grateful. So it's been a wonderful experience.
John, just you wrap it up. You spend each and every week doing the live blog. I ask the final question for Michelle.
Well, let's make a fun one. What has been the most shocking situation in Drag Race history for you, or something that just kind of like threw your seat backwards and you couldn't believe it?
A few things I can think of top of mind. I'll go back to the first one that ever shocked me, which was Yara Sofia basically giving up on her lip sync to Alexis Mateo and taking her out. She, for me, was one of the finals, if not the winner, of season 3. It would have been hard to go up against Raja and win that, but she definitely was top for me. The next one was Ben de la Creme eliminating herself on All Stars 3. That was the most shocking thing to all of us because we didn't see it coming, and bitch was winning. So why? Yeah. I love her. She is adorable, one of my favorite people, but I still don't understand it, but I don't have to. It's her storyline. I think another huge shock was Shangela being eliminated by her peers. That made no sense to me, but I think it was more personal than it was the competition. And let us not ever forget Roxy Andrews' wig reveal. Ever.
Yeah, set a trend.
Well, listen,
you did.
Thank you for taking the time. Listen, you're really girls. Each and every year, fun to watch. But you and Ru together. I mean, that's why I tune in to watch, and you can see the friendship, as you said, that dates back decades, and it really is. It's such. You brought so much pleasure to so many people. Thank you.
That warms my heart. Thank you so much. And I can't imagine being able to come to work with your best friend. Like, there's really no words to describe the joy. I am so honored to sit next to him and see his star just shoot through the stratosphere. It's been really remarkable to be part of this journey, and I'm the lucky one. So thank you, boys, for loving our show. Thank you for loving what we do, because honestly, yeah, we're in season 10 and these queens are great, but it wouldn't mean anything without people loving the show the way they do, jumping through hoops to see it. I travel around the world where they don't even get the show, and I know what they're doing to get it. That's how much it means to them that they can watch it in private because their family can't know that they watch it, because their family can't know that they're gay or do drag or like boys or like girls. So it's it's an honor.
Yeah, well, thank you for all of that. It's because of you.
Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you boys so much.